Resistance is futile. If you're a Star Trek fan, hearing those words will probably immediately trigger one thought: the Borg. The Borg is the ultimate nightmare. Humanity enslaved by a computer. Luckily, it's only fiction. Or is it? In Star Trek, they come in this big cube, a huge ship filled with millions of people. Well, they're not really people, at least not anymore. They are the Borg. The people in the cube have no free will, no mind of their own. They are one. They're plugged into the mainframe computer called the Borg. They're cyber slaves, poor little creatures. But that's just science fiction, right? Well, not so. In fact, as we speak, the Borg is lurking just around the corner, waiting for its chance. It won't come in a cube from outer space, though, but from the very place you're on right now, the Internet. And if it comes, resistance will indeed be futile. The signs are disturbing. Let's do a little experiment. What I want you to do is find out what diverticulitis is. That's spelled D-I-V-E-R-T-I-C-U-L-I-T-I-S. I'll give you a minute. Done that? Okay. All of you viewers have probably followed the exact same routine. You've opened Google and entered diverticulitis. All of you have found the same search results. You will have visited the same websites, have absorbed the same information. For a very brief moment, you were one. Silly example, you're probably saying. But hold on. That was just to warm you up a little. The real stuff is yet to come. Brace yourself. What I'm about to say could change the way you see your humble computer and the Internet forever. Step 1. We are being cyborged. Cybernetics are no longer science fiction. Already there are many experiments with simple implants being inserted into people's brains. Now, most of them are there for health reasons. The implants bring back some hearing or even some eyesight, or cure you from terrible conditions like depression or extreme phobias. But some implants have a more luxurious function. They connect to your brain in order to make you move your artificial limb if you happen to be missing one. Or they make you control the cursor of your computer by mind control if you're paralyzed. Now, most experts agree that this is just the beginning. Eventually, we will see more and more implants. Need to learn Greek? Just have a cyber doctor plug a tiny chip into your brain, much like a memory stick. Want better eyesight? The doc will upgrade your visual cortex a bit to Vision 2.2, and so on and so on. And once we cross far enough into the cybernetic frontier, good old-fashioned human nature will make us want to all keep up. How many people do you know that don't have the internet or a smartphone? How many refuse to drive a car or use a bank account? Sure, they're out there, but there's this sense that they just aren't keeping up with the pace of life. When cybernetic augmentation becomes as common as cell phones, and we can Google or send emails just by thinking, those left behind may as well be second-class citizens or even a subspecies. Now, of course, these are mostly exciting, good things, but there's a downside. Computer hardware isn't going to be the only thing that's entering your brain. Along with it, the web enters your mind. Step 2, we are being assimilated. If you think the internet is everywhere now, think again. Your brain is next. In small high-tech countries like Singapore and the Netherlands, the internet is everywhere you go and everywhere you look already. Gaming, shopping, dating, emailing, working, watching TV episodes and movies, it's all done over the internet. And the web is still on the rise. Not only is it on ever more home computers, as we speak, it's entering our TV sets. It's conquering our laptops and our cell phones. It's sneaking into our car computers and household machinery. In fact, the internet is about to incorporate every device we associate with communication. It's only likely the last device to be incorporated will be us. Of course, the computers implanted in our brains will be connected to the internet. The advantages are just too big to not let this happen. We will have internet in our ears, internet in our eyes. Literally, our brains will be permanently online. So you think of diverticulitis and instantly know that it's just another word for that. You think of your aunt in Timbuktu and your aunt thinks back to you, setting up a telepathic chat session, brain to brain. You think of Captain Jean-Luc Picard and his photograph will instantly pop up in your mind's eye. It's sent straight into your visual cortex, where it is translated into an image by your brain. You can hear Jean-Luc's voice saying, "Make it so," if you like, or think up information about Patrick Stewart and what movies he's been in. Pretty convenient. Now, that might be a little difficult to imagine, don't you think? Well, it gets a bit weirder. With your brain online, you will no longer be exclusively yours. You will, in a way, become a local cache for the internet. Your brain will become the internet's work memory. And that's where things turn, well, pretty nasty. Step 3, we are being bored. So here you are. You've got a computer plugged into your brain. Your mind is online all of the time. You are one smart cyborg. That's what you are. But what is online is also vulnerable. Someone could actually hack your head. Some evil genius could virus your mind or spyware your thoughts. We can agree on one thing. That would be, well, more than a bit confusing. Probably the biggest danger are electronic viruses that build themselves. Already there are many experiments with software that becomes smarter. Software that evolves by constantly improving itself. With every inhabitant of the planet online, such a virus will have at its disposal plenty of calculating power. Now, it's speculative, but perhaps you could call a virus like this alive. Perhaps you could say it has a will of its own. You might even call it the Borg. So just picture it. One moment you're doing fine, and then suddenly you lose control. In the mild case, you'll start having weird, uncontrollable hallucinations. You'll hear some internal voice telling you that resistance is futile, or you will experience some reality that isn't even there. You will go insane. In the more extreme case, you'll suddenly find your body is no longer under your control. Somebody or something is controlling you like a puppet. You will have become a prisoner, locked up in your own body. The Borg might be able to make you do all kinds of things. For starters, to eliminate everyone who isn't assimilated yet. Against your will, the Borg will force you to hunt down everybody who hasn't got an internal brain computer. You will be forced to operate on them, turn them into cyborgs too. And then so there you are. You suddenly find yourself operating on somebody's brain with neither your or the patient's consent. Perhaps the Borg will even order you to build a huge cube-shaped spaceship and go out in search of more life forms to assimilate. To the Borg, more slave means more calculating power. So, to Borg or not to Borg? Maybe you're shrugging your shoulders. Really? How bad could it be? People being assimilated by the internet? Come on, man, that's just too much. Then again, maybe it isn't. Remember that the internet as a mass medium is only some 15, 20 years old. That's less than 1,000th of 1% of the time our species has been around on this planet. And already computers and the internet have totally reshaped our world. And we can be sure of one thing: it won't stop there. Of course, the internet, as it is now, has little to do with Borgs and cube-shaped spaceships. It is as dead as a doornail. It doesn't want anything. The web is still just a bunch of bits and bytes sitting passively on hard drives around the world. But the self-learning software we mentioned before could change all that. Say we'll make a self-learning piece of software that only has one assignment, and it could even be a benevolent one. Find a cure for cancer. Actually, software like this already exists. It's software that automatically checks certain molecules to see if their shape is suitable for curing cancer. Okay, now suppose that software gets smarter. It could find new creative ways to do the task, like, hey, let's enslave all these silly little humans. Let's force them to build a giant cube and go out into space to look for a cure for cancer. That would be dumb. Still, there's one small straw of hope to cling on to. Nobody can foresee the future. The Borg problem seems realistic, but so do other scenarios. Perhaps we will be able to erect some kind of advanced firewall between our computers and that thing we call our mind. Or perhaps we'll see the Borg coming and manage to stop it in time. And even if we don't, well, there's always this. Perhaps going out in a big cube and monotonally saying resistance is futile to everyone we meet will turn out to be a pretty fun thing to do after all. We can see all corners of the galaxy, scare the crap out of everybody we encounter, know what diverticulitis means, and find a cure for cancer. Really, being a Borg isn't all that bad.